Helldivers 2. Our home. Prosperity. Liberty. Democracy. Our way of life. But nothing lasts forever.
No! Sweet liberty! No!
Whoa. What happened here? Helldivers 2 has been talked about non-stop. Is it really dying this fast? How could a game that peaked at almost 500,000 players only a few months ago now be at the same player size as games that have been out for years? Is this due to poor updates? The Sony Controversy? Is this just how games are now? We're gonna have to look a little deeper. I, like many others, started playing Arrowhead's newest game on its release. And again, like many others, I loved it. The gameplay, the graphics, the setting, the lore, the soundtrack. My god, the music in this game is so good. Listening to it feels like I'm injecting myself with straight freedom fentanyl. Ah, that's the stuff. I sunk hours into this game. When I should have been studying, I was conquering planets. When I was in a meeting for work, I was alt-tabbing to check the planet stats. Helldive after helldive. I played and felt as if I was helping in the fight for freedom against democracy-hating bugs and bots. But then I stopped. New games came out, the game got stale, and I stopped playing. While I understood my reasons for not playing anymore, the amount of players that also stopped was what got me curious. What specifically caused this? The game was fun, and then it wasn't. It can't be that simple. Yes, the game had a huge controversy when it announced that all players would have to register for a PlayStation Network account, which would have removed access to the game for several countries, as well as angered many who did not want to register for yet another gaming account. But this controversy didn't feel like the end of Helldivers. It felt like a rallying moment between the community. Sony backed down and players rejoiced. Also, looking at the Steam charts, the player count remained pretty much the same throughout this period. Arrowhead announced the change of making PlayStation Network accounts mandatory on May 1st, and Sony backed down around May 10th. But the Steam charts held strong this entire time at around 120,000 players. So clearly this short-lived and easily resolved controversy didn't affect the player base much. This was only a month and a half ago, and even at the height of the PlayStation Network dispute, player counts were 3 times as much as they are now. Why? Maybe it was the lack of updates, or even the amount of updates that did nothing but nerfed popular weapons. The Breaker is a fun shotgun.
Nope.
Okay, the Railgun's cool.
Nope.
Mechs got added, hell yeah.
Nope.
Okay, maybe the Slugger.
Nope.
Arc Thrower?
Nope.
Quasar Cannon?
Nope.
Okay, I know that balancing a game with so many weapons takes time, but the cycle of nerfing weapons that players are using makes very little sense to me. Sure, tweaks can be needed to make the game more difficult or to encourage players to try new weapons, but when weapons that release aren't cutting it and I go back to what was just for that weapon to get nerfed, it makes me frustrated and it makes the game feel that much more stale. Even worse, when I find a weapon that I like that not many people use, such as the Arc Thrower, nerfing it forces me to play the meta, not to change it, which isn't the point of buffs and nerfs, to make all weapons feel balanced and viable so that there is no overall required meta. Anyways, moving past the nerf/buffs debate, while still staying on the topic of updates, there has been a severe lack of impactful updates, which for a live service game such as this are vital to keep players engaged. The mech update is a perfect example of what is needed to keep Helldivers going. This update released 4 months ago, only a month after the game released, and was a fantastic addition to the game. I was hyped when the news dropped, and was not disappointed when hopping into my first exosuit. But that was 4 months ago, and nothing as impactful has dropped since. Yes, new stratagems have been released, and they are fun additions. However, they feel and play much like the game already does. The mechs added something completely different, yet they worked so well. And it's not like another mech-like update is out of the question. We have seen footage of people driving vehicles in Helldivers. I even remember talking to my friends months ago about how much fun that was going to be, cruising in a Warthog-style off-roader, mowing down Terminids. But that footage is already 3 to 4 months old, and we have heard nothing since. Yes, the developers have maintained their promise of releasing War Bonds monthly. War Bonds are Helldivers' quote-unquote battle passes. However, they too eventually grow stale, especially when what they offer tends to not change the game much at all. I understand, this is a small development team. They are working as hard as they can to make this game the best it can be. I'm just saying, instead of focusing their attention on nerfs, buffs, or even war bonds, focus on what will make this game more fun for players. I think their time would be much better spent working on new vehicles, mechs, and other additions than on trying to balance every weapon or churning out more types of armor. But back to the original question, how did this massive loss in player counts happen? While I do believe that the lack of good, impactful updates played a role, I wanted to see if this is just how games are now. Another live service game, The Finals, has seen a sharp decrease in its player counts. Same with Palworld. These games go to show just how hard it is to retain high player count numbers over a long period of time with a live service game. It takes work, and there will always be new games coming out drawing players' attention away. But it is possible, and not just for big studios. Of course, live service games such as Fortnite, GTA Online, or Apex Legends can keep their player counts up. They have massive teams solely focused on making updates and keeping player retention. All the same, one of my favorite games, Deep Rock Galactic, developed by indie studio Ghost Ship Games, has been able to not only keep its players engaged, but grow its numbers over time, hitting its all-time high only 16 days ago, even though it released back in 2018. Granted, it never saw the highs that Helldivers did. Any game that garners this much attention so quickly is bound to fall some. But it was able to consistently improve upon itself and now has about the same player base as Helldivers 2. If a 6-year-old game can improve upon itself and have as many players as a worldwide hit does 5 months after its release, it proves that sustained success in the live service game space is achievable through consistent updates, community engagement, and thoughtful game design. While the live service model presents inherent challenges, stories like Deep Rock Galactic prove that with dedication and smart development, it's possible to maintain and even grow a loyal player base. There are many opportunities for Helldivers 2 to regain some of its lost players. Obviously, a port to Xbox would be huge and add a surge of new players, but the underlying problems would remain. The game requires good updates that improve upon the game and needs to take a step back from micromanaging which guns are nerfed and which are buffed. It's a PvE game. If one weapon is being used slightly more or slightly less, that is a problem that should be second to ensuring players are having a good time. I'd like to wrap this up by making it clear that I love this game. It is fantastic. None of my critiques are towards the game itself. I just find the current state of the game very interesting, considering its monolithic success upon release. If you want more insights into the current state of gaming, I made a video on all the games that have and all the games that will release this year, so check it out. Remember to like and subscribe. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.